Born in Chicago, 1941. Born in Chicago, 41. Son, get yourself a gun.
We're here with Curtis King of the Curtis King Blues Band,
yes,
and be joined later by BJ, your bass player.
Mm-hmm.
So the blues, what is it that people these days, do you think, maybe don't appreciate about the blues?
Well, I think, see, nowadays, I think the blues is getting pushed around. There's not much of it anymore because this generation has their own music. They deserve their own music, but there's still a few of us left that still design and produce the blues that I think that should continue, because it's American music from the word go. And it's the foundation of a lot of these new music. These young kids don't understand or realize that it came from the blues, see? And it's, you know, it's kind of hard, you know, they say like a Model Ford, you know, everybody wants a Lexus or one of them BMWs. Well, you know, still, you know, it came from all these other cars being built before they was even here, you know. And I guess what I'm trying to say is, if we can get more people to listen to it, and of course with live music in general, we're living in an era where canned music, they did it in Vegas, and now there's no more live music as we know of. Now it's all canned music. All the casinos, they putting all the stuff through. No bands anymore. Before, there was a circuit for the very best to come through Vegas, make a living. Of course, that's what we talk about, making a living, paying taxes, you know, keeping things going, you know. And this is what we used to do. But see, all that's been taken away. And nowadays, it's starting to happen again. You know, now it's not in the casino so much. That music scene is gone. And now all the clubs is folding up. Well, that used to be a mainstay, a circuit for blues players. From the beginner right up to the national, international stars. And now here we go, you know. And so now where are we at now? Got to keep the music alive. We got to get these kids interested into it. And then if they pick it up, then hopefully as they get older, then they'll turn on to their kids. It won't be forgotten. But if you don't have a place to bring them, we don't have it anymore, you know. And then that's just to be a shame, because American music will be not as we used to know it, you know. And I don't want to see that go down that road, you know. I devoted my whole life to the blues, and it hasn't been on such an easy road, and I hope it gets a little bit easier as time goes on. But right now, not going to cry about it. We're going to just keep moving. See, that's one thing the blues will do for you, make you positive, because everybody got to eat. See, if you got to eat, you got to have money to eat. So if I'm working, I can go eat.
When we were talking earlier, you talked a lot about the value of bringing in guys who had talent but also education in music. If you had to, and you just alluded to younger people listening more to blues, if you had to advise people on, or kids, about what they ought to listen to, or what you think would be a good foundation, I mean, who are we talking about when you say listen to the blues more?
I would say, I would go back to 101 of the blues. I would go back to Reverend Davis. That's acoustic Delta blues. Let's see here. Another one was right up to like a Muddy Waters, Buddy Guy. Junior Wells. That's the Chicago sound. Right here in Texas, just a pool of great blues talent, Lightnin' Hopkins and then Freddie King and then Albert Collins. You would think that the blues scene here in Houston would be huge because of it. Because now, if you go back to like even when you think of like the English influences, that American music had over there, and then the Beatles and Jeff Beck and all those other stars. They all listen to the blues. They all got a good foundation. So that's what we're talking about, building a good foundation for everything to proceed itself. And this American music called the blues, you know, it started out there in the fields, back slavery time. You got to understand that was a language thing. You can ask the people who study languages, linguistics. I figured that's what I imagine that's what the linguistics. Well, that was a way of code to let somebody. They were talking one, singing and hollering in one way. That would mean something. Well, see, all that was brought out of that, then added to the music, the Delta thing. And then next thing you know, the next natural thing was coming up to Chicago. And now Chicago, you left all the farm stuff behind, the fields behind. Now you were sophisticated. You had money. You're working into the slaughterhouses and whatnot until you got educated. And all that stuff is infused into that music. See, that's city music, you know, sophisticated. Now it's sophisticated. You got rid of your overhauls. Now we're sophisticated. We don't talk like this anymore. We're going to be educated. We're going to go get school, this and that whole thing, you know. And like I tell the kids today, the foundation, and once you build it, you know, you get to compare other different stuff, you know. You can compare some of the classical stuff. How does this fit in with this? How does this fit in with that? You know, it all came from someplace, you know, but ours, once again, American music, the blues, wow, it lasted for almost, well, since I've been born, so let's see, I got to say, and that was 34 to the 30s, and then probably further back, so almost 100 years of it, you know, and it's kind of where we're at.
You were born in Alabama, mm-hmm. and spent time also in New York, mm-hmm. and Alabama, and lived in Los Angeles and
Chicago.
What sound, and now you're in Texas, what, and these are distinctively different places,
yes.
for blues and the sounds you're alluding to. What is your sound now? Is it a Texas sound, or is it Chicago?
No, I kind of try to hold my own. I've, from very, 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 very long time ago and very young, I've always had that Chicago influence. You know, that's always shaped the way that I saw guitar. See, as you got to understand, electric guitar for me when I was coming up was Eric Clapton, Jimi Hendrix, B.B. King, Albert King. They were guitar players. Versus, you know, rather than like like Aretha Franklin, where all that was more R&B type stuff, you see. And there was no challenger for me. So that's why I gravitated towards that Chicago sound, where I could, when I first heard it, was just totally blew me away. It was like the screaming guitar. It's like, man.
And what was that? What was that first memory that you have of hearing?
That was at Hamilton College in upstate New York, and watching Buddy Guy and Junior Wells. And that's when I saw my first zoot suit, blue hat, blue coat, blue pants, and blue shoes. And I said, what is this? And here comes another guy, red hat, red coat, red pants, and red shoes. I've never seen nothing like that, see? And I was like, man, you know, this is some hip stuff. And that's what drove me. And when I heard that guitar and Buddy, and it's like, and those kids, you know, I was a kid then, so it wasn't just those kids, it was me. We were going crazy. You know, and this was like rock and roll when rock and roll was big. You know, this is like Chuck Berry's, and, you know, that's all we were listening to, you know. Johnny Winter and them and Muddy didn't come to me till later. It was there, but I never heard it before until I heard Buddy. And once I heard Buddy, I was like, man, then I started reading hit paraders. Oh, Buddy Guy this and Muddy Guy, and it's like, oh man. Then I realized there was a scene going on in Chicago. You know, I said, yeah, this is where I need to be. And so ever since then, that's what I've choreographed myself and got things going where this is going to be my sound as long as I'm playing. And then you know, blues you can borrow a little bit. Now, you know, Redheaded Woman, I borrowed a little bit of that. That is right off. What is that? Some Muddy Waters. Get up in the morning, dust my broom. That's Robert Johnson. So, but anyways, I took that, then I put Redheaded Woman with that, but I put that Chicago rhythm to it. And then, of course, you know, being in the first position, you know, 1-4-5, I could lay in all kind of leads. All I had to do was wait on the band, do the turnarounds. And that's where I did this.
What inspires a song for you to sit down and write a song? What's the inspiration?
Well, you know what? I'm glad you asked that question. You know, I did my first acoustic cut in '78. Playing like the Blaze. Never no problems. Life was just beautiful. Then as I got older, I started talking to these females. Next thing you know, I put my heart out. Well, my heart gets broken. Now I'm crying. Everybody, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Oh, they call it crying in the alley. Oh, I know what's wrong with you. Oh, she didn't want you no more. So I generate a lot of my inspiration from writing songs about women, good and bad, and then making up stuff about women. See, and then the whole thing about it is you can't get too how you say this thing when you just write something that's totally not true. As far as, well, she's gorgeous, she's beautiful, she's the best thing that ever happened. Well, this might be true, when in some instances it's not so true. And this is where I draw my inspiration. Some come real fast. I'm kind of blessed because I can see the bass, the drums, the keyboard, the other guitar player or whoever, a singer. I can see all that in my head and I can hear it all. Now it's just a matter of writing it out and then bringing in the cats to make it right, because they actually make it come alive.
So you recently brought in Pinetop Earth.
Oh yeah, Pinetop, yeah.
To play on your record.
Yep, play on the record. We're going to have it released here. I'm aiming for, I get back from the Mama's Boys out in California, we're letting Johnny mix it, and I'm aiming probably for late January on release. Yeah, I can say that safely, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, Curtis, thank you for being here. Appreciate it. And if you and BJ would play a song, that'd be
sure.
Great. Well, thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you. Oh, okay, yeah. All right. I'm Curtis King. That's BJ. We're going to do the Chicago for you. Born in Chicago. Chicago, 1941. Born Chicago, 41. Son, get yourself a girl. My first one down, just a mere 15 years old. Said my first one down, years old. And since y'all can it's here 44. You're in Chicago, rough town, trying to put you down on Chicago. 41. Son, get yourself